Welcome to the Altered Call podcast. Today we are going to discuss your body. Given my expertise, this is going to be a short one. My name is Alex Pillischafske. I believe that donuts are peak nutrition. I believe that running is unbiblical, and I believe that you were uniquely created to reflect God's glory in the world. Recapping the framework. As Christians, we are meant to bring glory to God generally through our purpose and specifically through our various callings. The enemy wants to prevent this by forcing us to stumble in any of an infinite number of ways. Stewardship is the application of our current knowledge and ability to defend our lives against that enemy. The discipleship path is an optional framework that you can use to build and maintain standards that relate to self, family, vocation, and church. This is meant to create a baseline of stewardship from which we can explore specific callings of God. We will start by establishing minimum standards strong enough to ensure that we are being faithful and on which we can build our desired lives. We will maintain these standards until we are given a specific calling of God, which we will prioritize accordingly. On the discipleship path side of things, we are now transitioning from what was undeniably one of my greatest strengths to my greatest weakness. Maintaining my body is both an area of known and intentional weakness. I just don't care that much. My historical standard for my body has simply been whatever it takes to keep me moving from point A to point B with relative ease. So instead of offering any guidance today, I want to tell you a little bit of my story and caution against setting a standard that's too low. Historically, my standard in this area has been to do cardio exercises at the gym 2 or 3 times a week and address any issues that come up otherwise. Now, until recently, I'd never been taught how to feed an adult human, so in general, I defaulted to food that was easy instead of attempting to gauge the nutrition value. Given my relative health, I didn't see a need to change this. As such, I automated this standard and simply kept an eye out for any concerning developments. The first and second opportunities for change looked identical. During the first year of life for each of our children, I required physical therapy for back and shoulder pain. Now, fortunately, I was able to address these issues and keep going without any long-term impact. But I failed to realize at the time that these issues stemmed from having a standard that was set too low. Looking back, this was pointing to core strength and posture issues that, if unaddressed, would continue leading to discomfort or worse in my future. The third opportunity for change, and the one that finally got my attention, happened just under a year ago when my body started systematically shutting down. Now, I don't think it's fruitful to get into the details, but I started to decline very quickly due to poor nutrition of my diet. At this point, I reached out to a coach, and they showed me how to eat and increase my daily activity to a realistic level. Shortly after changing my diet, I noticed a big difference. My body had grown accustomed to peaking and crashing in a constant rhythm throughout my day, leading to insatiable cravings and a rapid decline in discipline as the day progressed. This culminated in a sugar crash just before bed each night. Under my new diet, I no longer suffer from these crashes. I simply have stable and reliable energy. This also eliminated my cravings and increased my levels of discipline across the board. Now, all of this might seem obvious, but I cannot express to you how big of a revelation this was in my life. My new standard demands that I invest more energy into maintaining my physical health by adding activities like weekly food planning and slightly increased workouts, but by leveraging this new higher standard, I can increase my commitment in many other areas utilizing the extra energy and focus. And I am entirely certain that I would not be able to maintain this podcast without these changes. So again, I don't have any advice other than to take you through the process. Accept reality. Start where you are and find something that meets your goals. I should point out that I still don't have any real desire to get stronger or meaningfully more fit. I still only want to get from point A to point B, but I now realize that what I was doing wasn't sustainable. From accepting reality, you move on to honoring God and building your life. This is an area with high customization. If you have a physical job, then you need a body that is strong and consistent. If you work in a cubicle, then maybe you just need to keep your blood pressure in check. But in both cases, it might be fun to maintain enough energy to play with your kids at the end of the day. Fruit in this area centers around health, sustainability, and necessary strength. I acknowledge that all three of those terms are subjective, but if you are reasonable in your assessments, then they should lead you in the right direction. Health and fitness are two very different things, although they overlap to a large degree. If you take steroids, such that you have great physical fitness, then you are sacrificing your health to do so. And while being healthy might lead to being in great shape, being fit doesn't necessarily indicate health. This leads to sustainability. Whatever actions that you take to secure your physical health must be things that you can maintain over time. Eating like a slob and going to the gym for several hours a day might be enough to sustain you when you are young, but eventually proper diet will be a necessary step towards long-term health. Finally, I want to talk about necessary strength. There's this lie circulating in our culture that somehow you are more manly if you can lift heavy things. Now, I will never deny the benefits of being strong, but I would encourage you to ask yourself what your muscles are for. Many men seem to think that their muscles will help them in a theoretical street fight, without acknowledging that they have never yet had such an experience. Don't spend your time building a body that you have no use for. If you aren't a professional bodybuilder, then you don't need to look like one. Set your minimum such that you are as strong as you need to be. Then, when we have achieved stable minimums across the board, you can leverage any extra capacity towards being as strong as you want to be. Don't deny God glory in other areas of your life just so you can have a six-pack. And don't die at a young age just because you refuse to pay attention. Hey, how you doing? Given the lack of content in this episode, I want to take a second to indulge. I know that at this point, if you are listening to this podcast in real time, that you are probably one of my favorite people in the entire world. And I want to say thank you. It means a tremendous amount to me that you are listening and that you are supporting me as I endure all of this. If you have any questions about this material or need help in any way, reach out, let me know. The answer is yes. I love you guys and I thank you for your support. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Altered Call podcast. Before you go, I want to make sure you are aware of our new YouTube page. There I will post a weekly update where I discuss the most recent episode of the podcast in more detail and tease information that is coming in future episodes. Feel free to like and subscribe here, there, and everywhere if you find value exploring these ideas. You can reach me by email using alex@alteredcall.com, or you can visit the website for additional information.